If you are sweating, you are doing it wrong. Society has trained you to believe that struggle is a virtue. We look at someone working 16 hours a day, exhausted, on the verge of burnout, and we call them a hero. We call them a hustler. I call them inefficient. In physics, heat is defined as energy loss. When an engine overheats, it is not working better. It is wasting fuel. It is malfunctioning. Humans are the same. Hard work is often just thermal waste disguised as productivity. It is what happens when you try to solve a leverage problem with brute force. If your path to success requires you to suffer daily, you do not have a discipline problem. You have a design problem. It tells you that your value as a human being is directly tied to how exhausted you feel at the end of the day. But I am here to tell you that the hustle is not a path to success. It is a malfunction. Look at the people who work the hardest in our society. The ones who trade time for money. The ones who are constantly busy, constantly moving, constantly stressed. Are they the ones ruling the world? Are they the ones designing the future? No. They are the gears in the machine. Now look at the architects, the engineers, the people who build the systems that run the world. They are not busy. They are effective. And there is a massive difference. There is a famous concept in software engineering. If you want to solve a difficult problem quickly, you do not give it to the most hardworking employee. You give it to the laziest one. The hardworking employee will spend all night manually fixing the issue, brute forcing their way through the code, sweating over every line. They will take 10 hours to do the job, and they will expect a pat on the back for their sacrifice. Think about the brute force attack in hacking. It tries every single password combination, one by one. It works hard. It runs millions of operations. It takes years. The strategic hacker finds a backdoor, one line of code, access granted in seconds. The brute force method is hard work. The backdoor is inefficiency elimination. When you tell me you worked hard on something, what I hear is that you haven't figured out how to make the process smooth yet. Hard work is the price you pay for not knowing the easy way. It is a penalty tax on your ignorance. The goal is not to endure the pain. The goal is to render the pain obsolete. It is your brain trying to optimize energy expenditure. It is the biological drive to achieve the maximum result with the minimum amount of effort. And in a world that is obsessed with noise and movement, strategic laziness is the ultimate competitive advantage. You do not need more discipline. You do not need more motivation. You need to stop fighting your own code and start understanding how to use it. Most people spend their entire lives fighting their own biology. They treat their brain like an enemy that needs to be conquered. They try to force themselves to focus when their tank is empty. They try to push through the fatigue with caffeine and anxiety. They label themselves as procrastinators. They call themselves broken. But let's look at the hardware. Your brain is an incredibly expensive machine to run. It represents only about 2% of your total body weight, yet it consumes 20% of your daily energy intake. That is a massive energetic tax. Because of this, your brain has a primary directive that is hardwired into your DNA. That directive is energy conservation. For thousands of years, burning unnecessary calories didn't mean you were productive. It meant you were dead. If our ancestors ran around in circles just to look busy, they starved. Efficiency was not a luxury. It was the only way to survive. Your brain is designed to resist effort that does not yield an immediate, clear reward. This is not a glitch. This is a safety feature. When you sit down to do a task and you feel that heavy resistance in your chest, that is not a moral failing. That is your biological risk assessment system kicking in. Your brain is calculating the return on investment. It sees a task that is vague, difficult, or boring, and it realizes that the energy cost is high while the reward is distant. So, it cuts the power. It induces what you call laziness. It is trying to stop you from wasting resources on something that does not seem to matter. The problem is not your biology. The problem is your environment. We live in a world that has inverted the reward structure. The things that matter most, like building a business, getting in shape, or learning a skill, have a very high upfront energy cost and a delayed reward. The things that destroy us, like scrolling through social media or eating junk food, have a near zero energy cost and an instant reward. Your brain is simply making the rational choice based on the data it has. It is choosing the path of least resistance because that is what kept humans alive for 200,000 years. The modern productivity industry tells you to fight this instinct. They sell you planners and aplicativos and motivational videos designed to help you declare war on your own nature. They want you to override your safety systems with sheer willpower. But willpower is a finite resource. It is like a battery. You can force yourself to work against your nature for a few hours, maybe even a few weeks. But eventually, the battery dies. The biology wins, and you crash. You find yourself binge-watching television for 3 days straight, wondering why you have no self-control. You do not lack self-control. You are just running a high-friction operation on low-power hardware. The secret of the world's most productive people is not that they have more energy than you. It is not that they are mutants who love pain. It is that they do not rely on willpower. They do not fight their biology. They align with it. They understand that the brain wants to be lazy, so they build systems that make productivity the path of least resistance. They make the hard things easy, so their inner lazy human naturally chooses the right path. If you are watching this and you feel guilty about your lack of drive, stop it. Guilt is just another form of wasted energy. It is an inefficient emotion. It drains your battery without moving the car. Instead of feeling guilty, you need to get curious. You need to understand that your laziness is actually a signal. It is telling you that your current method of working is too expensive. It is a check engine light. And you do not fix a car by smashing the dashboard. You fix it by opening the hood and tuning the engine. Today, we are going to tune the engine. We are going to look at the 3 laws of strategic laziness that will allow you to produce more in 4 hours than most people produce in 40. We are going to turn your biggest weakness into your greatest weapon. Let's talk about the enemy. The enemy is not stillness. The enemy is unnecessary movement. There is a dangerous hallucination in our culture that equates motion with progress. Busyness is a glitch.
It is a sign that your input to output ratio is broken.
If you are constantly answering emails, putting out fires, and rushing to meetings, you are not important. You are a bottleneck. You are the point of failure in your own system. True efficiency looks like nothing. It looks like silence. A well-oiled machine does not make noise. A well-designed system does not require heroism to keep running. If you have to be a hero every day just to keep your life from falling apart, your system is trash. And being busy is often a form of laziness. It is lazy thinking and indiscriminate action. Think of a hamster in a wheel. It is moving faster than anyone else in the room. Its heart rate is high, it is exhausted, it is giving 100% of its effort,
But it has not moved a single inch.
This is exactly how most people live their lives. They mistake the sensation of stress for the reality of achievement. They fill their calendars with low-value tasks just to avoid the discomfort of doing the one thing that actually matters. The truly lazy person, the strategic genius, looks at the hamster wheel and refuses to step inside. They ask a simple question that terrifies the busy person. Why is this necessary? If the answer is not clear, they delete the task. They do not optimize it, they do not delegate it, they destroy it. Bill Gates once said he would always choose a lazy person to do a difficult job, because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. This is not a joke, it is an economic reality. Consider every major invention in human history: the remote control, the dishwasher, the elevator, artificial intelligence. None of these were created by people who loved hard work. They were created by people who hated it. They were created by people who looked at a repetitive manual task and said, "This is stupid. I refuse to do this forever." Laziness is the mother of innovation. Hard work is often just the father of stagnation. So, how do you operationalize this? How do you transition from a stressed-out hamster to a strategic architect? You need a protocol. You need rules that protect your energy and force you to be efficient. I call these the 3 laws of strategic laziness. These are not suggestions. These are constraints you place on your own behavior to force innovation. Law number 1, the one-touch rule. This is the deadliest weapon against digital clutter. The average person touches the same task 5 or 6 times before actually doing it. You see an email, you read it, you decide to reply later, you mark it as unread. You open it again 3 hours later, you worry about it, you finally reply. You just spent energy on that single task 5 different times. That is inefficient. That is a leak in your battery. The lazy genius refuses to pay that tax. The one-touch rule is simple. If you open it, you must process it. You have 3 options. Do it immediately, delete it forever, or automate it. You are not allowed to close it and come back.
This forces you to be ruthless.
It forces you to make decisions instantly. It stops the backlog from building up in your subconscious. When you handle things once, your mind stays clear. You are not carrying the weight of 1,000 unfinished loops. You are free. Law number 2, defensive pessimism. Most people are optimists about their future energy. They tell themselves, "I will feel like doing this tomorrow." That is a lie. Tomorrow, you will be just as tired and lazy as today you. The strategic lazy person knows this. They do not trust their future self. They assume their future self will be incompetent, tired, and unmotivated. So, they build a system today that protects them from their own future weakness. This is the difference between carrying buckets of water and building a pipeline. The hard worker carries buckets every day. They rely on their strength. If they get sick, the water stops. The defensive pessimist hates carrying buckets, so they work incredibly hard for 1 week to build a pipe. It is exhausting, it is difficult, but once the pipe is built, the water flows automatically. They never have to carry a bucket again. They can sleep and the work still gets done. You need to stop carrying buckets. Look at your repetitive tasks. What can be templated? What can be scripted? What can be delegated to software? Build the pipe once so you can be lazy forever. Law number 3, the art of deletion. This is the most aggressive and most important law. The average person believes that to be productive, they must clear their to-do list. The strategic lazy person knows that the to-do list is a trap. It is an infinite scroll of other people's demands. If you try to finish everything, you will die with a full inbox. The only way to win is to delete. You must look at your tasks and ask a brutal question. What happens if I simply do not do this? If the answer is nothing serious, then you incinerate the task. You let the email go unanswered. You let the meeting happen without you. You let the low-value fire burn itself out. This requires courage. It requires the willingness to be misunderstood. People will call you unresponsive. They will say you are hard to reach. Good. You want to be hard to reach. Availability is the enemy of deep work. The ultimate form of laziness is not doing the work at all because you realized it did not need to be done. Peter Drucker said, "There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all." Do not optimize a task that should be deleted. Do not automate a process that should be obsolete. Cut the fat until you are left with only the bone. That is where the value lies. Now, we need to upgrade your identity. For years, you have identified as a worker, a grinder, a mule carrying a heavy load up a mountain. You need to kill that identity today. You are not a mule. You are an architect. The mule takes pride in how much weight it can carry. The architect takes pride in designing a pulley system so the weight carries itself. When you finish watching this video, do not try to work harder tomorrow. Do not set an alarm for 5 a.m. Instead, look at your life like a broken code. Look for the inefficiencies. Look for the energy leaks. Look for the repetition. Ask yourself,
How can I be lazier here?
how can I achieve this outcome without my direct involvement? This shift is uncomfortable. Your ego wants to feel busy because busyness feels like importance. But you must sacrifice your ego to save your life. You must become comfortable with stillness. You must become comfortable with silence. You must become comfortable with the fact that you can produce massive value while sitting on your couch, simply because you built a better system than the person sweating in the office next door. Stop wearing your exhaustion like a badge of honor. Nobody cares how hard you worked. They only care about what you delivered. Stop trying to win the competition for who suffers the most. That is a loser's game. The next time you find yourself grinding, stop. Don't push harder. Ask yourself, why is this so hard? Where is the friction? Do not celebrate the effort, celebrate the result. Because remember, hard work is just a sign that you haven't found the efficient path yet. The hustle culture is a lie designed to keep you tired and compliant. You have taken the red pill. You have seen the code. Now, you have a choice. You can go back to the hamster wheel, or you can start building your machine. If you are ready to stop grinding and start engineering your freedom, you know what to do. I am building a resistance against the noise, a community of architects who understand that less is more. If you are one of us, subscribe and turn on notifications. In the next transmission, we will dismantle the myth of passion and show you why it is keeping you broke. Do less, get more. Disappear.